Welcome to another race preview. The way I say welcome is so funny. um, Nikki and I here are gonna break down Una Roca's third career bout around the oval at Turfway Park in Florence, Kentucky. She is once again the last race on the card, which is interesting. It's the same as last race. So post time when they're supposed to get lined up in the gate is 10:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Past our bedtimes again. The key here is she is dropping in class, so she's going from maiden claiming 30 to maiden claiming 15, as well as going from a one-turn, 3/4 of a mile race to a two-turn, 1 mile race. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think the extra distance definitely helps her. We got a full field of 12 here with two also eligible. So if there's two scratches, there's two horses that are waiting to draw into the race as well. So most likely be a pretty packed starting gate unless we get a big number of scratches for some reason. Two turns, I think definitely plays to our factor here. Breaking currently from the most outside posts, which I don't think is terrible in this situation, considering that she's not really like a forward horse. She kind of just finds herself middle of the pack, and hopefully this time she finds herself at the front of the pack at the end. So I don't think the 12 post really hurts us too much here.
Yeah, it was interesting because I think a little bit differently. I think it does hurt us a little bit that two-turn 1 mile at Turfway. That first turn gets up on you very,
It
very
does come up
quickly.
quick. Yeah,
And I do think like there's not a ton of pace in here, and her going from a one-turn sprint to a two-turn route, I think she could be on it. Or at least a little bit closer to it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how Danny works on a trip for her here.
yeah. The only reason why I think she wouldn't find herself forward is because the two horses that have showed some early speed have both come out of um longer races. They both gone over a mile at Turfway, and they were forward there. So I don't know. I mean, that's definitely an angle, right? Coming out of the sprint like, and going further, that you would hope that some of that, sprint speed would be shown. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, overall, you kinda can see in the screen, we got some good names here, not the best figures in terms of, pure final time converted to a score and a speed figure here. The blue numbers there, your pace figures. You kind of can see, the first numbers how fast they were early. She does have a pretty nice early pace according to her last race. The key thing to note is, even though her last race was a 30K maiden claimer, the winner out of that race came back and was second, beaten half a length in a 125K stake race, as well as the third place finisher in that race came back and finished second at that same level, same distance. So I do think that there was a somewhat salty 30K maiden claimer. All that being said, like, it wasn't like she was close to the winner, but at least it gives me a little bit of hope moving forward that the winner there, was a stakes caliber horse. So that's an important thing to note, I think.
Agree.
Who do you other tidbit I had written down here was that majority of the horses, 8 of the 12 in and one of the 2 AEs already have two-turn experience. Um, so I mean, you don't know until they go 2 turns. You'll hear, the top trainers on the Derby Trail even say it, like, we don't know what a horse is gonna do around 2 until they do it. They could be bred to go long, they could look like they want distance, but for some reason, 2 turns doesn't sit with them. She is one that I think should do well with 2 turns. Some just a pure, she's a long striding. If you look at the GPS data from her last race, she had some of the longest average stride lengths. I think she's a big scopy filly. I think she's somewhat one-paced in nature. So I do think that the distance should help her in that direction. But there's obviously a question mark around the wind side of things. So does she have the lung capacity, the stamina to go, a full 2 turns? She could be scopy as can be. If you get tired, you get tired. I feel pretty good that this is her third career race. So she's coming in with, you know, uh, cardiovascular base that should be built up ready for 2 turns. So I'm excited to try her around 2 turns. I think one thing that Mark Cass used recently said, he's a Hall of Fame trainer. He said training horses is a lot like puzzle pieces. You're trying to build a puzzle and adjust one thing at a time. Last race, we added Lasix for the first time. Go back and watch the last race preview for some details on that. So that improved things slightly in terms of her speed figure. So now we're gonna add distance and see what that does. So kind of one step at a time, figuring out exactly kind of where Una fits, what she's going to do best, and continue to see her progress throughout her career.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also back to your point about majority of the horses going 2 turns already. None of them have really shown much going 2 turns. So I think that's encouraging from us because we're kind of new to the 2 turns here with Una. So that unknown is, I think, plays to our advantage here that we kind of know that those horses that have gone 2 turns really haven't done much with it. So I do like that unknown variable for us where, we expect the 2 turns to be a benefit and hopefully that's the case.
100%. So who do you think our main challengers are here, Nick?
Yeah, I would say the 8, 7-2 morning line here on the 8 there, comes out with the best figure according to the screen that you see in front of you there, right? That last race came out with a 57. Again, like we said earlier, there's not really much speed in this race, so that horse was forward, going a little bit longer last time. So I think, especially from the 8 there, should be able to get a pretty good trip into that first turn. And then, I think this field, that horse as well ran for maiden 30. So dropping down to maiden 15 like we are. So should be facing less on paper. So I think it does work out pretty nicely there for the 8 and kind of get loose on the lead there. And then she'll might be tough to beat when we turn for home. I do think, we improved last time, like we said, with Lasix here. We're trying new distance. I think that's going to help us improve too. So I think we'll definitely outrun the morning line odds there of 20-1.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think as you can see from this screen, they're pretty well clustered. I do think 7 and 8 do stand out. I bought the Ragnazins for this race, and they definitely stand out from a rag perspective as well. I think Little Circus Peanut and Love and Mischief are another two that look pretty good from a rag perspective. But all these horses are around the same in terms of Ragnazin figures. So this raw final time score 57 up here. Ragnazin numbers are basically another way to convert that final time into something to compare across tracks and distances, and different services based upon the days. So overall, I think this is going to be, a race where you're kind of throwing darts. I think at this age group, at this level, you're still figuring out kind of what you have. Kind of like we were saying, we kind of need to just kind of see if Una can handle 2 turns, if that's going to hit her between the ears or not. I think a lot of the other horses in here are, trying to find the correct level for their horse. So it's exciting betting race for sure in terms of, you could throw some darts here and hope to get a price home.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, nice way to kind of close out a pick 5 there. Pretty wide open field.
Oh yeah, 100%. Do you have any horses circled in terms of the way you're betting this, or are you kind of going with an open mind?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I do think the 8 is, I would say that's the horse I would put on top there. After that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with really any of these horses showing up. Um, Honestly, sometimes when I'm handicapping races, a horse that's a first time starter in a field like this, where there's a bunch of horses that really haven't shown any ability, is always interesting. The 5 here is a first time starter. So, I'd probably use the 5 a little bit there as well. I don't think you have to be a complete monster to win this race. So I would definitely consider the 5 a little bit too.
Yeah, I think the same. I think I'll probably just bet Uno across the board. Hope we get a good price, and hope we have some fun doing it. All right. Any other final thoughts here?
No, I think it's a big one. Third career start, trying something that we think should project, hopefully, improvement. So this is definitely a good test here for Una. And then hopefully onward and upward from here.
Good deal. All right. Well, good luck, everybody. Continue chasing firsts here, and Nick and I are gonna about to record our second race preview. So look for the other video about 270, a double race weekend for the homies here, which is fun. Good luck, all.